The Galactic Union had grown large over the years. Hundreds of alien species lived and worked together. They shared knowledge, traded goods, and built great cities that floated in space. Every species brought something special. Some brought science. Others brought strong armies. Some even brought strange powers no one could explain. When Earth applied to join the Union, most members laughed quietly. Humans were new to space. Their ships were slow. Their weapons were simple. Their world was small compared to the stars. But the Union allowed them in, not because they were strong, but because they were curious. They asked questions, they listened, they explored. The Council believed they could be useful one day. At first, things were peaceful. Humans attended meetings, learned the laws, and made small trades. They were quiet but polite. They shared food, music, and stories. One of the first things they offered was their myths. The humans called them old stories, tales from their past, stories about gods, monsters, and battles. They told of great dragons flying across burning skies, ships that rode on thunder, kings who ruled with fire, beasts that swallowed moons. Some myths spoke of sky warriors who destroyed whole armies alone. Others spoke of machines shaped like animals, strong enough to tear planets apart. The aliens laughed. A tall blue-skinned scholar named Vex stood at the center of the council chamber. He held a thick scroll made from Earth's data files. He waved it in the air. "These are human records," Vex said. "They believe fire-breathing creatures ruled their world. They worshiped thunder and lightning. Their weapons were made of magic. They speak of sky battles in times when they barely had wheels." The chamber echoed with laughter. Even the oldest members chuckled. One of the elders, a wise creature with 6 eyes, leaned forward. "Tell us, human guests," he said kindly. "Are these stories real?" The lead human, a calm woman named Mira, stood and smiled. "They are myths," she said. "They are stories from long ago. But sometimes, stories hold deeper truths." Vec laughed again. "Truths," he said loudly. "Do not make us laugh harder. These are bedtime stories, nothing more. Tales made to scare children or pass the time." Mira nodded but said nothing more. After that meeting, Earth changed. Humans stopped sharing their myths. They stopped attending some meetings. They pulled back from trade. Their ships no longer travel as far as before. Their embassies began to close, one by one. Slowly, they became quiet. Most thought humans were ashamed. Others believed they had been offended and decided to sulk. But a few noticed something different. Human warships returned home. Space stations near the borders went dark. Communication signals became harder to trace. Satellites disappeared. Small colonies vanished from the Union's maps. The Council sent envoys to ask questions. But the humans smiled politely and said they were just reorganizing. Vec paid no attention. He believed humans had been embarrassed. He even wrote a book called The Fire of Folly, where he mocked every human myth. It became popular in many systems. Young aliens quoted it while joking with human workers. Months passed, then rumors started. A Union patrol ship went missing near the edge of human space. It sent a final message, no distress signal. Only a whisper. A shadow is moving. The Council sent more ships. One returned, half damaged. The crew refused to speak. The second ship never came back. A merchant claimed he saw something strange while passing through a silent zone. He described a black ship that moved without sound. Its shape was long, sharp, like a spear made from night. He said it floated behind a small moon. Watching. No one believed him at first. But other stories began to appear. A mining crew near the outer rim reported seeing a massive winged object in space. They thought it was a comet, but it changed direction, then disappeared. When they returned, their logs were blank. Their ship's memory had been wiped. Another freighter claimed they saw fire in space. Not an explosion, not lasers, real fire burning. Across stars. It lasted 10 seconds, then vanished like smoke. The Council started to worry. They formed a small group to study the events. Some believed a new threat was rising. Others feared humans were building something in secret. But Vex still laughed. Humans have no power. He said during a speech, They hide in shadows now, because they have nothing left to show. They tell stories of fire because they cannot light even a spark. He made more jokes, more speeches, more books. But deep down, even he started to wonder. One night, a young alien assistant came to him. She had studied old human texts. She looked afraid. "Sir," she said, "what if their stories were not just stories?" Vec waved his hand. "Then they are fools for building their world around fear," he said. But he could not sleep that night. On Earth, silence ruled. The skies above the planet were filled with strange patterns. Satellites moved in strange loops. Stars near the solar system blinked out for seconds, then returned. Observers in deep space picked up quiet sounds, heartbeats of giant machines. Mira sat in a command room deep underground. She watched screens filled with numbers, images, and heat maps dot behind her. A young officer asked, "Are they laughing now?" Mira shook her head. "No," she said. "They're watching. Soon, they will understand." In the dark sky above, the first of Earth's hidden ships drifted into position. It had no name, only a code myth one. Its body was shaped like a burning bird. Its wings were wide, covered in weapons. Its core pulsed like a heartbeat. It waited in silence. Soon, others would follow. In the far edge of Union space, patrol ships moved slowly. Their scanners swept the stars. Their engines hummed softly. The crew followed orders and marked empty space on their charts. Nothing unusual ever happened out here. It was peaceful, silent, and boring. Then the silence began to feel wrong. Captain Doro sat on the bridge of the patrol ship. Luma Star. He had served in the Union Navy for 30 years. He had seen pirates, asteroids, even solar storms. But this time, something felt different. The space ahead was too quiet. The stars looked cold. The sensors picked up strange shadows. "But there was nothing visible, sir. There's a reading," the sensor officer said, his voice unsure. "What kind?" Doro asked. "I don't know," the officer said. "It's not a ship, not an asteroid. But it's big. It's just sitting there." The crew stared at the screen. A shape appeared on the radar. Long, dark, unmoving. Doro narrowed his eyes, tried to scan it again. He ordered the ship's sensors flash. Then the screen turned black. All systems froze. Every light on the control panel blinked red. Then, just as suddenly, everything returned to normal. The screen was empty now. The shape was gone. Doro stood up. "We're leaving. Right now." They turned the ship and fled. No one spoke on the way back. When they returned to the nearest station, Doro filed a report. His voice shook slightly during the recording. He ended the message with a warning: "Do not go near human space. Something is out there." The council listened to the report, but said nothing. They sent more patrol ships. One never returned. The other came back badly damaged. Its outer shell was torn. The crew refused to speak. They locked themselves in their quarters and stared at walls. Whispers spread across them. Starstraders shared stories in hushed voices. A smuggler named Fen claimed to have seen a black ship near Saturn's ring. He said it moved without sound and left no signal. It floated like a ghost. He said it was shaped like a giant cloud. A miner told of lights in the dark. Not stars, not ships, but eyes. Eyes that glowed red and moved slowly through the void. He swore he heard a deep sound like breathing coming through his ship's hull. Council tried to calm everyone. They said it was nonsense. Old ships, glitches, fools spreading lies. But inside the council chambers, worry began to grow. A few brave members suggested it might be time to speak with Earth. Perhaps something had gone wrong. Perhaps a mistake had been made. But Vex stood again. His voice rang across the chamber. "We are the Union," he said. "We do not fear myths. We do not fear shadows. The humans are playing games because we laughed at their tales. They are trying to frighten us with tricks and false stories." Some nodded. Others stayed silent. The council decided to watch, but not act yet. In the edge of Union space, more ships disappeared. On day, a cargo ship named Blue Trail sent a short message: "Something is following us. We cannot escape. It's not alive. It's not a ship. It's something else." Then silence. The council finally sent a diplomat ship toward Earth. A peaceful mission. Just as the ship reached the edge of human territory. There it stopped. A single human ship floated in its path, small, old. Not a warship captain. Mira appeared on the screen. She wore a calm face. Her voice was steady. Turn back, she said. Earth is not open for visits. The alien diplomat, a kind elder named Rumi, tried to smile. We come in peace. We wish to speak. There are stories spreading. We wish to understand. Mira nodded. You will understand soon. But not today. Turn back or your ship will be taken apart. Rumi looked confused. We see only your ship, he said. Are you alone? Behind Mira's ship, space shimmered. Lights flickered. Shadows moved. Slowly, giant shapes appeared. They were silent. No engine noise. No signals. Just Persencioni looked like a serpent, coiled in space. Its surface glowed faintly like lava. Under skin, another looked like a massive bird with long wings and a pointed beak. Its body pulsed with energy. A third was harder to see. It blended with space, like a shadow pretending to be nothing. Rumi stared. His hands shook. Are these your warships? He escaped. Myra did not answer. She only said, Go home. The diplomat ship turned and left without another word. Rumi brought back a message to the council. He spoke with a quiet voice. Do not go near Earth again, he said. Something waits there. It is not human. It is not alien. It is something made from stories. But it is real. Vex stood again and laughed now. Even our diplomats speak of ghosts, he said. This is foolish. Humans have wrapped themselves in shadows to scare us. But we should not be afraid. We should remind them who holds the stars. A vote was called. The result was close. But in the end, the council decided to send a show of strength. A full fleet would move to Earth's orbit. No weapons, no attack. Just presence. A reminder they would show the humans that myths do not rule space. The fleet began to gather. Over 100 warships, ships from every major species, cruisers, carriers, shield boats, drone clouds, command units, even a mobile fortress. It was the largest show of force since the Outer Warvek was proud. He stood in the command ship, looking at the fleet as it formed in space. This will end their games, he said, but far away. On the dark side of Earth's moon, the human ships waited. They were not old. They were not simple. They were shaped by myths, but powered by science far beyond what the Union knew. In a deep chamber under Earth's surface, Mira stood before a large screen. Around her, officers watched data streams of voice. Call from the comms room. Union fleet is on the move. They will reach Earth's orbit in 3 days. Mira gave a small nod. Begin final phase. She said. Above her, deep in space, the serpent ship turned its head. Its eyes glowed with stars. Grew quiet. The Union fleet moved through space like a wall of metal. 100 warships, big and strong, flew in perfect shape. Lights blinked on their sides. Engines glowed with blue fire. From far away, they looked like a swarm of stars. At the front was the command ship Silver Crown, the largest ship in the Union Navy. It was as long as a city and shaped like a blade. On its bridge stood High Captain Loro, a tall creature with green skin and forearms. He had won many battles. He believed this mission would be simple. We will not fire, Loro told his officers. We will not threaten. We will only remind the humans that we are the voice of order. In this galaxy, some officers looked nervous, but they followed his orders. A few hours later, the fleet entered the space near Earth's moon. They saw human satellites floating in strange orbits. Most were silent. A few gave off strange signals that made the Union computers slow down. One ship reported its radar going dark for 10 seconds. Then everything returned to normal. Still, there were no human ships in sight, only silence. Laurel ordered the fleet to hold position above Earth's orbit. Ships spread out into a wide circle. Energy shields were raised, just in case. Then a signal appeared on every screen at once. It was a message from Earth. The screen showed a dark room. In the center stood Mira, the same human officer who had worn the diplomat ship. She wore a simple black uniform. Her face was calm, her eyes steady. You were told not to come, she said. Loro stepped forward. We did not come to fight, he said. We came to talk. We wish to understand what is happening here. The galaxy is full of fear. Your silence feeds it. Mira looked straight at him. You came with a fleet of warships, she said. You call it peace, but you came ready for battle. We only came to remind you, Laura replied, that the Union keeps balance. Mira did not blink. You mock our stories. Now you will meet them. The screen went black. At that same moment, the stars behind the Union fleet began to move. One by one, massive shapes came into view. No engines, no signals, just sudden appearance. The first ship looked like a giant serpent, its body glowing with soft red light. Its scales were black metal. Its mouth was open, showing rows of sharp energy points. It wrapped around a moon-sized rock like it was resting. The second ship looked like a bird with wide wings made of metal and fire. Its head was shaped like a spear. Each flap of its wings left trails of light behind. A third ship looked like a giant figure made of glass and steel. It held a long staff that sparkled with blue energy. Its face was smooth, without eyes or mouth, but it seemed to look at the fleet. More ships followed. Some looked like beasts. Others looked like ancient statues. All of them floated in silence. Union crews stared in shock. Are these real? One officer whispered. Are they alive? Another asked. High Captain Loro did not answer. He was too busy watching. The sensors screamed. Energy levels rose beyond safe limits. Shield systems began to fail. Communications flickered. Then one of the serpent ship's eyes lit up. A beam of light shot forward, but it stopped just short of the fleet. It was a warning. Mira's voice returned, this time through every ship's speaker at once. You still think our myths were lies, she said. You still believe we are weak. But Earth does not forget. We remember every laugh, every insult, every name you gave us. We are the children of fire and stone. And now we stand in silence. Because words no longer matter. Loro tried to reply, but his voice failed. The power on his ship dropped for a second. Then it returned. One of the smaller Union ships tried to move closer to Earth, a simple scout. It did not fire. It only drifted. The bird-shaped ship flapped its wings once. The scout vanished. Not exploded, not destroyed. It simply blinked out of space, gone without a sound. The Union fleet panicked. Crews shouted. Orders were given. Shields were raised to full power. Loro shouted, "Hold your ground. Do not fire. I repeat, do not fire." But it was too late. A nervous captain on one of the cruiser ships pressed a button. A single missile launched toward the bird ship. The missile flew fast, glowing with energy. It reached the ship in 3 seconds. Then it stopped in mid-space. The bird ship turned its head slowly. It looked at the cruiser. Then its wings flared. A wave of heat rushed across space. The cruiser's shields melted. Its metal skin turned red, then white. Then it fell apart like dust and wind. No fire, no explosion, only ash. The Union fleet stood frozen. Mira's voice returned, calm as before. "We have no wish to rule the stars," she said. "We do not seek war, but we will not bow, not to your laws, not to your pride. We build our power in silence while you laughed. Now you will see what silence brings." Loro stared at the screen. His arms lowered. He felt cold. "We made a mistake," he said quietly. He turned to his officers. "Send the retreat order." The message was sent across the fleet, one by one. The Union ships turned away from Earth. Engines powered up. Ships began to leave. But the human myth ships did not move. They only watched. As the last Union ship crossed the border of Earth space, all signals returned to normal. The strange pressure disappeared. The stars felt calm again. But nothing would be the same. The Union fleet slowly left Earth's orbit. The ships looked tired and silent. Their crews were still shocked by what they had seen. The giant myth-shaped ships stayed behind, silent and watching. They did not follow. They only waited. Captain Mira stood on the command bridge of the Myth Bird, one of the largest human warships. Its wings stretched wide in space. The ship's hull was dark but covered in glowing lines, like fire frozen in metal. Mira's eyes were calm but full of fire. "Prepare the fleet," she said. "They will return. We must be ready." Her officers nodded. They knew the Union would not give up so easily. The humans had waited for this moment for many years. They had built their warships in secret, hidden in space and underground. Now their time had come. The Union fleet was regrouping in a nearby system. They sent messages to their allies, calling for reinforcements. The leaders of the Union spoke in tense voices. They had never faced anything like Earth's ships before. These were not simple machines. They moved like living creatures. Their weapons were strange and powerful. Back on Earth, news spread quickly. People watched the skies. Children heard stories from their parents about the legends coming to life. They talked about the fire serpent and the bird of war. The myths that once seemed like fairy tales now felt real and close. The Union fleet returned stronger. This time, they came with a plan. They would not just show force. They would strike first. They believed they could destroy the human ships. Before they could react, Captain Laurel led the fleet again. His green skin was pale. He had learned fear, but he still believed in his mission. "We will show them the power of the Union," he said. "This time, they will not survive." The two fleets met near the orbit of Mars, the sky filled with warships from both sides. The Union ships shone with blue and silver light. The human ships were dark but glowing with fire-like energy. The battle began without words. Human ships moved fast and sharp. The myth serpent coiled and struck. It fired beams of heat that cut through shields. The myth bird flapped its wings, sending waves of energy that slowed Union engines. Union ships fought back with missiles and lasers, but their weapons could not pierce the living metal of the human ships. Their shields melted like ice in the sun. One by one, Union ships were torn apart. Their pieces drifted in space. Crews called out for help, but no one came. Captain Mira watched the battle from the bridge of her ship. Her face was calm, but her hands were steady on the controls. "We fight for Earth," she said. "For every child who ever dreamed of the stars." The battle raged for hours. The sky above Mars turned red with fire and smoke. Space was filled with light and noise. It was a fight no one had expected. The Union fleet tried to retreat. They formed groups and ran toward safety. But the human ships chased them. The myth serpent swallowed whole cruisers. The myth bird flew above and fired powerful blasts that destroyed entire squads. High Captain Laurel's ship was hit. Alarms blared. Fires burned through the halls. He looked at his crew. "We are losing," he said. "Prepare to abandon ship." The crew moved quickly. Escape pods launched. They floated away from the burning ship. Laurel was last to leave. He looked back at the sky filled with fire. The myth ships were still moving, still fighting. The battle ended with a clear result. The Union fleet was broken, many ships destroyed, many lives lost. Earth's fleet remained. Their warships drifted above Mars, silent and powerful. The galaxy watched in shock. News spread fast. No one had ever seen such power. The stories about Earth were no longer myths. They were warnings. On Earth, Mira stood before her people. She spoke to a crowd of millions. Her voice was strong. "The galaxy mocked us," she said. "They laughed at our stories. But now, they see the truth. We are not weak. We are not simple. We are the children of fire, and we will protect our home." The people cheered. They felt pride and hope. They had waited for this day for a long time. In the stars beyond, the Galactic Union held emergency meetings. Leaders argued about what to do next. Some wanted peace, others wanted revenge. But one thing was clear. Earth had changed everything. The myths were no longer just stories. They were weapons. And the sky had turned to fire. The remains of the Union fleet drifted in the shadow of Mars. The silence was heavy. Ships that once shined with power now lay broken and lifeless. Crews who had fought bravely floated in escape pods, carrying stories of defeat and fear. Many wondered how such a strong force had fallen so fast. Captain Mira watched the battle from the bridge of the myth serpent. Her face showed no joy, only focus. She knew this was not the end. The galaxy would not forget so quickly. The Union would come back with new weapons, new strategies. Earth had to be ready. The human warships moved with silent strength. They were not just machines. They seemed alive, reacting to every move. The myth serpent coiled through space like a living creature. Its black scales shone with red light. It could strike fast and disappear before the enemy knew what had happened. The myth bird flew above, its wings glowing with fire-like energy. It sent waves of power that tore apart shields and slowed engines. Its attacks were sharp and deadly. The Union fleet had never faced anything like it. The Union ships tried to fight back. Missiles and lasers flew through space, but human ships absorbed the attacks. Their armor was made from unknown materials that healed quickly. Their shields bent light and energy in ways no one understood. One by one, the Union cruisers fell. Some exploded in bright flashes, others broke apart silently. The human ships moved through the wreckage like hunters. Captain Laurel was on the bridge of the Silver Crown, the largest Union ship. Alarms rang. The hull shook from impacts. His crew worked to repair systems, but it was clear they were losing. "We cannot hold," Laurel said. "Prepare to abandon ship." Escape pods launched into space. Crews left behind their weapons and pride. They floated away from the dying ship. Laurel was the last to leave. He looked back at the sky filled with fire and destruction. The myth ships moved like shadows, calm and strong. The battle lasted for hours. When it ended, the Union fleet was broken. Their pride was shattered. Their power was gone. Earth's fleet remained. They held their ground, silent and watchful. The galaxy was shocked. No one had ever seen such power. Stories about Earth's myths were no longer just tales. They were warnings of real strength. In the Galactic Council, leaders argued. Some wanted peace. Others called for war. The Union's pride was hurt. They could not accept defeat. But the humans did not seek war. They only wanted respect and peace. Captain Mira stood before her people. She spoke with calm and strength. "We fight not to conquer," she said. "We fight to protect. We are the children of Earth. Our myths are our history and our future. We will defend them with fire and silence." The people listened. They believed. They hoped. In the darkness of space, the myth ships floated. They were more than weapons. They were legends come to life. The galaxy would never forget. After the great battle near Mars, the galaxy was filled with questions. No one understood how Earth had built such powerful ships. How could humans, once seen as weak and small, suddenly have machines that looked like myths come alive? The Galactic Council called for a special meeting. Leaders from many species gathered in a large hall filled with light and screens. They shared stories of the battle. They spoke of fear and surprise. They needed answers. Vek. The blue-skinned scholar who had once laughed at human myths stood quietly at the side. His eyes were tired. His voice was soft when he spoke. "The myths were never just stories," Vek said. "They were blueprints. The humans built their ships based on their legends. They turned fire-breathing dragons and winged beasts into real warships." The room grew silent. One human scholar named Toma stepped forward. She had studied ancient Earth history and technology for many years. She explained. "Our ancestors knew the power of stories," Toma said. "Stories teach lessons. They warn and inspire. We use these stories as guides. We combine old legends with new science. We built ships that could move like dragons and strike like lightning." A leader from another species asked, "But how did you keep the secret for so long?" Toma smiled. Gently, "We hid in plain sight," she said. "While others laughed, we worked. Our technology grew beneath the surface and beyond the stars. Our myths kept the truth safe. Only when we were ready did we reveal ourselves." Vec nodded slowly. "It is a lesson for all of us. Never underestimate the power of a myth. They may hold more than just dreams." Outside the meeting hall, news spread across the galaxy. Many species were amazed. Some were afraid. Others were proud of Earth's strength. Back on Earth, Mira stood with her officers. They watched reports from other planets. The Union was sending more ships. Some worlds prepared for war. Others hoped for peace. Mira spoke quietly. "We have shown our power. Now we must show our wisdom. Strength alone will not keep Earth safe. We must build trust. We must open new paths." Her words were soft, but filled with hope. On the decks of the human warships, crews worked hard. They repaired damage and prepared. For the future, the myth ships waited silently in space. They were guardians and symbols. Proof that humans could turn legends into reality. In the dark spaces between stars, quiet watchers moved. Human ships patrolled the borders. They sent messages of warning. They kept the galaxy safe. The myths were no longer just stories. They were a promise. A promise that humans would protect their home. A promise that the galaxy would never forget. The galaxy had changed. Every race now looked at humans with new iced-old jokes. In laughter were gone. No, there was respect and caution. Some feared the human myth ships, while others admired theme and earth. The skies were calm again, but the people were not distinct. Builders of the myth ships were working on something new. Mira stood on the command deck of the ship. Stormlight looked out the large window as her fleet moved quietly near the edge of the Orion Gate. This gate was one of the oldest paths in the galaxy. It had been locked for hundreds of years after strange disappearance. Now humans had unlocked it. Beyond the gate was unknown spacemen. He thought it held danger. Others believed it held answers. Today Mira and her team would go through it. With them were 3 myth ships and a science ship filled with scholars from Earth and other allied worlds. Plan was clear: explore the space beyond, find the source of the strange signals that had been heard after the battle near Mars. Mira looked at her crew. Juno, her second in command, gave a firm nodal. Systems were ready. Engines burned bright. As the ships crossed the Gate, stars changed. The sky here was not the same. It was darker, quieter, but not empty. They saw something large in the distance, not a planet, not a ship. It was something else, a structure floating alone in space, like a giant stone ring with lights blinking. Soft live human science ships scanned it carefully. The data came quick. The structure was ancient, older than any known receive, and older than the council itself, and it was awake. The signal came from it. It was not a warning, it was a greeting. Mira ordered the ship to hold position. Then she opened a reply. This is Mira, commander of the Earth fleet. We come in peace. Who are you? The structure replied with light, no words, just images. And Ship's science team began decoding it. After an hour, they had answers. The structure was a guardian made by a forgotten race. It had watched the galaxy for thousands of years. It had waited for someone strong enough and wise enough to pass through the Orion Gate. The message said one thing clearly: your myths are keys. You carry the stories of those who came before. You are ready to learn. Mira stood still as she heard the translation. The crew listened in silence. Then the structure opened, not with weapons, but with light. And song it revealed a path. Inside were libraries filled with knowledge maps of old stars, records of ancient times. Some things matched Earth's oldest myths. Names that once lived only in stories were now real. Dragons made of metalknights that flew across star cities, that floated in gas. John's the myths of Earth were echoes of truth, pieces of a past long forgotten, and humans were the ones who had remembered. The Mira looked at the records with Kresh, saw names and shapes that matched the myth ships Earth had built. It was no accident. Earth was part of something larger. Her people had been chosen long agonized by a race, not by force but by memory. Humans were the keepers of forgotten legends, and now they were the ones who brought them back. Mira sent a message back through the Gatesh, told the council and all the allied races the myths were true. They were warnings and promises. The sky is deeper than we knew, but we are not afraid. We will carry these stories forward. We will protect the galaxy and learn its oldest truths across the stars. The message was heard. It brought wonder, it brought peace, and it brought change. Of Galactic Council invited humans to take a new seat, not just as members but as protectors of ancient paths. Humans accepted boot, not with pride. They accepted with duty. They knew the myths were heavy. They were not just ships and fire. They were a tested guardian to remember on Earth. The people built more myth ships, but not to fight. They built them to explore. Rito learned to protect children, now study the old legends with new respect. They knew the stories held truth, and they knew one thing clear: live galaxy laughed once but never again. Now when a human ship passed overhead, people did not look up with fear. They looked up with hope. And when the skies burned with the fire of human anguish, galaxy remember it not. All fire is for war. Some fire is the light that leads the way. Then